in Afghanistan right now. I just heard on the news a couple of days ago, you know how many choices the Afghans have for president in the new election that's coming up? That our government is sponsoring and your tax dollars have helped procure? You know how many choices for president the Afghans are going to have this year? Over 30. 30 choices for president. And our federal government is sponsoring that election and is encouraging that number of candidates on the ballot. You come to the United States, however, and as Thom said, if you're not a Republican or Democrat in Washington, D.C., you can't even get on the ballot. You can't get on the national debates. We try to get on the national, they said, Chuck, how come I don't see you on the presidential debates? I wonder why. It's because there's a little thing called the Presidential Debate Commission. Do you have any idea who heads up the Presidential Debate Commission? Have any idea? The former chairman of the Republican Party and the former chairman of the Democrat Party. They control the debates, and they will not let a third party, unless you have the billions of dollars of Ross Perot, you will not get an invitation to the dance. Why? They don't want the American people to hear an alternative point of view. They don't want to answer the questions that we would ask. They don't want to address the issues. They don't want to talk about the things I talked about tonight. Have you heard any major candidate at the national level talk about anything like I've talked about tonight? And yet everything I've said, in your heart of hearts, you know I've told you the truth. But they don't have to talk about it because we are not invited to participate. And that's why today we don't have free and fair elections. They are rigged to make sure that one of the CFR party nominees is president, because that way it doesn't matter who wins, the policies don't change. And that's why another thing I said on the campaign trail, I like to throw out these little shockers. You know, I would often say, you know, when I'm president of the United States, one of my qualifications for cabinet level position will be you must not be a member of the CFR. I just love throwing that kind of stuff out there. Anyway, we're supposed to have Q&A now, so if you got any questions, great. We'll take
Oklahoma, it's even illegal to ride in. So we didn't have even that opportunity. So my role here tonight is to help you understand what we can do to change that. And I'm just going to spend a few minutes on a few nuts and bolts type thing, because actually Chuck was my warm-up act. I'm here to give you the nuts and bolts of how to make it happen. Now that you're warmed up and you're motivated and ready to go, what are we going to do, right? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about now. The Oklahoma election laws need to be changed. And Randy Brockman from Owasso and Representative Charles Key from Oklahoma City and a few others have given us hope and an opportunity. And that's what I want to talk about here. There's a State House Bill 1072 that they introduced in Oklahoma City earlier this year. It passed both houses of the legislature. It's actually unanimous in the Senate. Those two versions that were passed were a little bit different, so that they now have to be reconciled when they go to a conference committee. Well, that's where this bill sits, is in the conference committee. And the bill, what it proposes to do is to change the laws that allow candidates to get on the ballot. That's called ballot access laws, okay? Oklahoma has the most difficult ballot access laws in the country. And I'm going to get to one of those white pages that were under chair that I handed to you earlier, and we're going to talk about that just a little bit so that you're informed and you can talk to your state representative, your state senator, and help us make this happen so that next time around we can vote for Chuck Baldwin or someone just like him. He hasn't decided yet to run for 2012, but I keep telling him, you know, it's kind of like a mother that has a child. You have to wait a while before you start talking about another one, right? You know, you don't talk about that in the first few weeks or months after at birth, okay? So Chuck's not ready to run in 2012. He may not run again, but we'll find someone like him. And it'll be a whole lot different than what we get from Party A and Party B. So, what I want to share with you is a few statistics and a few pieces of information. Let's look at that white sheet of paper that was on your chair. It's two-sided, black and white, and one side has a lot of figures on it. It shows Oklahoma at the top and the number of signatures required, and it's got Texas and all. And you can look at those statistics there. You can see that on a per capita basis, Oklahoma's ballot access requirement is 10 times as difficult as it is in Texas. And so this is the kind of information that we need to share with our state legislators. While you're on that page, I want to point out an error. I have a typo. In the top left there, it says a website there, okballotchoice.org. If you've got a pencil or a pen, please correct my typing error. That should say okvoterchoice.org instead of okballotchoice. It should say okvoterchoice. And what that website is, it is a website. All the minor parties, the third parties, have a coalition trying to change the ballot access laws. And I've been working with the leaders of the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, and some independents for a number of years. And Senator Brogdon and Key have helped us over the last 5 or 6 years begin to educate the folks in Oklahoma City about these laws that need to be changed. But anyway, on that website there, okvoterchoice.org, you'll be able to see updates and information about that. But a lot of the information you need is right here on the sheet. And the pending legislation that I just mentioned, 2009-2010, is on there, and some other notes. And let's turn it over on the back, and this is where you need to focus. And there's some phone numbers right there in the middle of the page that tell you how to contact your state representative. It's a toll-free number to Oklahoma City. You've got the number there for the state senate. And I want to ask you to educate your friends and neighbors and help us put some pressure on to get the laws changed so that we can have Chuck Baldwin and other candidates like that on the ballot in Oklahoma. Some statistics that you might want to share with them down there toward the bottom. I'll just highlight number 2 and number 3. From statehood until 1974, Oklahoma required only 5,000 signatures for a candidate to get on the ballot, but we never had more than 4 candidates for president on our ballot. One of the arguments that you'll hear is, we don't want to crowd the ballot, we don't want to confuse people. For, the first 60 years of our existence, 70 years, we didn't have a problem. We only had 4. The most we ever had was 4 candidates for president. All right, since that law was changed in 1974, that third item there, no third party has ever been able to place its candidate for governor on the ballot. So you might say, well, Tom, I don't really understand why you think a Constitution Party candidate could even win. Well, they will eventually, but they would change the debate. What do you think it would be like if Chuck Baldwin were on the stage with Barack Obama and John McCain, and even Ralph Nader was up there and Bob Barr? There'd be a lot of issues and a lot of things that got discussed that didn't happen. Okay, so it may take a long time before a third-party candidate could win, but they would have an impact. They would change what was going on, and the threat or the concern that they might have of winning re-election, that's what an elected official always wants to do, is win re-election, just keep coming back, right? Well, if they had to come face the voters and they had a challenger from someone, in the Constitution Party or the Libertarian Party, just challenge them, they would have to earn your vote. They would have to come and ask for your vote and listen to you. But in the state of Oklahoma, half of the representatives in the state house, we have 101, half never even have an opponent in the November election. They might have an opponent in the primary that takes place in, June or something. And so in a lot of the state, you've got districts that are primarily Democrat. You've got the other half that are primarily Republican. And so once they win their primary against their weak Democrat opponent or their weak Republican opponent, then they get a free ride from June to November and never have to come knock on your door, never have to listen to what you want to hear. But if they had a Libertarian running against the Constitution Party, they'd have to keep campaigning. They'd have to come ask for your vote. And they would have to earn your vote. And if you didn't give it to them the next time, that would change the way they looked at their job. They're our employees. They're our representatives. And if my boss didn't show up to work and I didn't have to answer to him, and I didn't have to listen to what he had to say, I probably wouldn't be as good an employee, right? So if they don't have to come to you, the people that they represent, and ask for your vote every 2 years or every 4 years, if they just have a free ride like half of them do, then it's going to affect the way that they think and the way that they legislate. So that's the importance of a third party. So this information here, if you will take this, write to your representative, write to your senator, mention House Bill 1072, they will take that up again in 2010. The legislature is in session from February through May of each year, and so this 1072 is going to come up again. It's in conference committee. All they have to do is work out the differences and get a bill. There'll be a group of senators and a group of representatives that will agree, and then that bill will go back to the House for a vote. It'll go back to the Senate for a vote, and this is the best opportunity that we've had to change the laws in Oklahoma. Many states enacted difficult ballot access laws in the 70s, and that has caused a lot of problems. A lot of other states have now started to rescind those laws, and Oklahoma is a pretty tough nut to crack that we're working on. So I really need your help with that. That will help improve our government. A couple of other things that I want to mention real quick, and then I'll turn it back over to Chuck for a question and answer. Some of you may not be very familiar with the Constitution Party. You've heard our presidential candidate, so that helps answer a lot of your questions, but the flyer, multicolor sheet that was on your chair or that you were given answers some of the common questions, and a lot of good information in there to help you. And I'll just hit a couple highlights here. The 7 principles of the Constitution Party are life, liberty, family, property, the Constitution and Bill of Rights, states' rights, and American sovereignty. And the pledge from the Constitution Party and our candidates is that we will honor God, we will defend the family, and we will restore the Constitution. So those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you. Over on the table over here, we have a sheet where you can sign up to just give us your email address or your home address, so we can stay in touch with you, keep you updated on the progress of House Bill 1072, give you updates on other things that are going on and things that we need to do to make changes here in Oklahoma. Also on the table over there, we have a membership form. If you're interested in signing up as a member of the Constitution Party, please take one of those and we'll keep you informed. And let's see, a couple of other things. We do have, Chuck has a book. We have a couple of copies left. It's the Founding Documents. What's the name of it exactly, Chuck? Freedom Documents. It's a compilation of over 50 of the documents. Dale's holding it up over there. You can't find a collection like that anywhere, and so we have a few of those still left for sale over there with some bumper stickers. And so I encourage you to stay in tune with this, find out what you can do, and please help us change the way that things are going here in Oklahoma and help us make a difference. Chuck mentioned how that we've got our guards over on the Iraq border and Afghanistan and all that. I want to ask you if you remember the elections that they held in Iraq back in January 2005. You know, we went over there, we shed our soldiers' blood to liberate those folks and to give them the right to vote and establish freedom and all. And on election day in January 2005, do you remember them holding up their purple finger and showing that they had voted? Remember that? You remember hearing how that they walked for miles and miles and they came from all over? And it was estimated about 95% of the people in Iraq voted. You know, they had 19 choices on the ballot for president. 19. In Oklahoma, we had 2. So we can't put our guards on our border, but we can put it on there. We can send our troops over there and give them freedom so they can have 19 choices on the ballot. But here we can't protect our border, and we can only have 2 choices for president. You know, here in Oklahoma, half of the eligible citizens vote regularly. There's about half that don't even register, and about half of those actually vote. So we need to make a change there. And part of the reason that people don't bother to go vote is that they don't see a difference between McCain and Obama. They don't have the option of voting for a Chuck Baldwin, right? So the reduction in choices has caused people to say, it doesn't matter if I don't vote. They're still going to do the same thing. They're going to do whatever they want to do. So we've got to make a change. And we have that opportunity in Oklahoma. So the next 6 months are very critical. One thing I wanted to share with you too is